Well, the final 12 seconds was complete chaos for Phoenix. Down by 3. They thought they might get fouled. 2 timeouts on the board. A tough shot thrown up by Satou Sabally falls short and right. And the Aces hold on late to defeat the Mercury 89-86. If Game 1 is any indication of what we're going to get the rest of this WNBA final season, we are in for a treat. Welcome to the wrap-up presented by AT&T. Alongside Courtney Cronin, I am Sam Ravech. I mean, Courtney, wow. Like that was a game in a game in a game. There was so much to break down. We're going to get to all of it. We have some really exciting guests that are going to join us over the course of the next 30 minutes as well. But just your initial thoughts after watching that game.
Seeing how the Aces came back in the fourth quarter and when they turned up their defensive intensity, when A'ja Wilson came alive, the battle between her and Alyssa Thomas all game, it didn't really start to shift until at the end of the third quarter.
Right.
And then it's before this sequence, Alyssa Thomas stripping the ball and the great defensive play from A'ja Wilson on the fast break, gets to the basket, but can't make her free throws. A career 65% free throw shooter.
Yeah.
That is not going to get it done. You had a chance to tie the game.
Clutch time.
And this is a moment that people are going to question. Is the moment too big for you there? You couldn't write it any worse. The way that the Mercury fell apart there in the final couple of moments of this game, from Alyssa Thomas at the free throw line to not be like, what was that final possession? I'm not sure. Outside of the timeouts, and whether Nate Tibbetts was waiting for somebody on the floor to call a timeout, if he's trying to let a play develop, I don't know what that possession was. The Aces did a great job guarding the three-point line. That's what they're supposed to do. Chelsea Gray on Satou Sabally forcing that tough shot. That is good defense. But I didn't really understand what the Mercury's plan was in the final moments after they let a great chance to go tie the game slip away.
It's something that's going to be scrutinized over the course of the next 24 to 48 hours. But, yeah, it seems like there wasn't really a plan. Mm-hmm. Nate Tibbetts, it almost felt like, thought that the Aces were going to foul up 3, which is obviously a huge discussion point. Do you foul up 3? Do you let the play develop and play defense? It turns out that it worked out for the Aces, just playing stout defense in that final possession. But yeah, I mean, you got to have a plan here. Once you see this ball come in, a lot of bodies just kind of standing around. Finally, AT kind of sets a screen there, but there really wasn't anything developing. And also, you don't need a 3 there.
No,
right?
You could have made a quick 2. You could have, gone to the rack and gotten fouled. There were many other options there, and I think the sequence that ultimately decides this game was that foul on Jackie Young. By Jackie Young on Alyssa Thomas.
Right.
And then the Aces challenging that call. It was a clear blocking call. It was the right call to make there. And then, for Alyssa to have just hit that clutch layup to cut the lead to 1 and then to squander it away in the final 15, 13 seconds, whatever it was there at the end of the game, that's a missed opportunity. There were so many points at this game where the Mercury were out from ahead, but they just couldn't, for whatever reason, close out the Aces. The Aces never went away. And I think when you take a look at the contested shots and how the defense changed for Las Vegas there in the fourth quarter, ultimately that's what we're going to end up looking back and saying that's what brought this game as close as it was, because it was a thriller, and this is what we were hoping for after everything that happened today with the press conference before the game. We just wanted good basketball. We just wanted a physical game. And you got physicality. You got away with a couple scares of injuries that apparently don't seem to be as bad as they're going to be. But I'm thrilled for the Aces that they were able to pull this out the way that they were, and to watch A'ja Wilson. You and I were watching this game at halftime. You're thinking that you need more from the MVP.
Yep.
They got it from her in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and yes, the Dana Evans game was apparent in this one. And
the whole bench for the Aces.
The entire bench was just tremendous, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But, yeah, you just go up and down this stat line, Courtney. Dana Evans, 8 for 13 on the day, 5 for 6 from beyond the arc. That's 21 points for her. Jewell Loyd, of course, chimed in with 18 points, but this entire bench played a huge role in this game. For what it's worth, by the way, Las Vegas led for 5 minutes and 18 seconds in this game. And for a team...
Most of that came in the fourth quarter, too.
Correct. And for a team that has really struggled, actually, to close out games throughout the course of this postseason. They had it happen to them in the Seattle series. Like, they had some real issues closing out games. And for them to come alive in this fourth quarter, it felt like they exercised some demons, I thought.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. And to watch... to be at home, to use the crowd noise to your advantage. Like, we were hearing people talk during these interviews just how loud it was. I think it was Chelsea Gray telling telling how they wrote at one point, like how loud it was in there.
Yeah.
To be able to feed off of that in the fourth quarter, to turn the energy back on yourself. And, I think with A'ja Wilson, I mean, we're going to talk about this bench. We're going to talk about Dana Evans, and which, by the way, good for her. To go from a place where she won a championship with the Chicago Sky in 2021, to get the opportunity now to be with Becky Hammond, to be with Chelsea Gray, to be with A'ja Wilson, to be a part of a core where she can certainly contribute coming off the bench in whatever role. Like, I don't think that's the last that we're going to see for her, but I just watched this team tonight, and I think that is what we needed to see from the MVP in the final moments. And you look at the numbers and just of like what Alyssa Thomas was able to not do when the defensive intensity in those matchups turned up from A'ja Wilson. If you can get more of that, I know you want a 5-6 game series, that could end up closing it out far sooner.
It sure could. And the Las Vegas bench has been a bit of a sore spot for this team throughout the course of the season. In game one of each of the last 4 WNBA finals, the team trailing at the half has gone on to win. Aces were trailing by 5 at the half, and really the fourth quarter outscored the Mercury by 7. Let's now welcome in Andraya Carter, who's got boots on the ground there, obviously, in Las Vegas. She's done a great job leading up to this game. Dre, I'm just going to hand the floor to you because we saw a great game. Give me your reaction to it.
Yeah, I mean, my initial reaction is, what an incredible, gritty, tough win from the Aces. I mean, this is a game where Phoenix led the majority of the time. Phoenix hit 14 threes. I don't know if Phoenix will hit 14 threes again in this series. If you're on the Phoenix side, they're thinking this is a wasted opportunity of an incredible performance. And if you're on the Aces side, what a tough, gritty win. Cannot say enough about Dana Evans and Jewell Loyd off the bench. That's the best performance from Jewell in the playoffs, best performance from Dana in the playoffs, in a game where they needed those points. And I think I don't know who was just talking about it, I was listening to you all briefly, but for me, watching Dana not just knock down open threes, but also defend the inverted ball screen when Sammy Whitcomb is setting that inverted. We've seen it throughout the entire playoffs. People have not had a way to stop it. For Dana to get those steals, timely steals, especially late in the game, that was huge. And honestly, when you think about it too, there are little plays in the game of basketball that just make such a big difference. Like even the hustle from Jackie Young to get the block. Well, she attempted to take a charge, but it ended up being a block. But then AT goes on to miss those free throws. But if she doesn't make that defensive effort to get all the way back to attempt to take the charge, that could be a layup. They're just little things in this game for the Aces, for A'ja to be efficient the way that she was. This is a very impressive win, and I thought the Aces stuck with it extremely well. And yeah, that's like my biggest takeaway is like, you're mind blown. If you would have told me A'ja takes 16 shots, Chelsea and Jackie are 5 of 20 from the field, and the Aces bench do well, and Phoenix shoots 14 threes, who wins? I'd say Phoenix. 10 out of 10 times I would say Phoenix, and that's not how it went.
Well, that was going to be my follow-up, too. 20 points off turnovers in this game, and it wasn't the sheer number of the turnovers, but it was the time and place in which they occurred, and Vegas made them pay for it. Did Las Vegas win this game, or did Phoenix lose it?
Yeah, I mean, I always say the team that won it, because you have to make the plays down the stretch. Like, you have to capitalize on those plays, whether it's a made three, whether it's a turnover. But to me, Vegas won this game because, one, they continued to put Satou Sabally in tough situations. She got in foul trouble. That was huge. I mean, as soon as A'ja had Satou on her back, she buried Satou in the paint, and Satou got her 5th foul. That ended up, to me, being a turning point. Phoenix was up 5 at that point. Ended up being a turning point in the game. But for the Aces to go zone, and at times it looked like they were zone that was morphing into a man, or they were man that was morphing into a zone. Phoenix was 4 of 14 against the zone, less than 30% from the zone. So they missed a lot of shots against the zone, and Phoenix had 3 turnovers, and 3 of their shots got blocked against the zone. So 4 plus 3 plus 3. That's 10 out of the 14 possessions where the Aces went zone. It worked. So even just that alone, give Becky a ton of credit for tweaking the game plan. Phoenix hasn't seen a lot of zone this year, y'all. Like, Phoenix shoots the ball so well from 3. The only team that saw less zone than Phoenix was Minnesota, because of Minnesota's incredible offense. So Phoenix hasn't seen a lot of zone, and I think that got them out of a rhythm. So I would say the Aces won this game.
Andraya, what do you make of that
More
final?
than Phoenix lost it.
Fair
That's
enough.
Totally fair. What do you make of that final possession for the Mercury? Because it felt like it was slow developing. They had 2 timeouts. They don't use it. Like, obviously, the Aces are defending the 3-point line very, very stoutly. But Did they let the clock run out on themselves there? I mean, putting Satou Sabally in that position to make a tough shot didn't seem like the right call.
Yeah, to me, as soon as Satou looked like she was going to go up for the shot, I felt like they could have called a timeout. Or honestly, as soon as the play started to not work, they could have called a timeout. When I'm talking about little things that players do to win a game, Kia Stokes played 14 seconds of this game. Comes in for that defensive possession. She switches out. Does exactly what she's supposed to do. Switches out onto Kalia Copper, who played incredible for the first half, but was limited in the second half. 14 seconds in this game, and it ends up making a huge difference because think about this, Phoenix still had enough time if they wanted to go for a quick 2, because then you foul, and then you call a timeout. They had 2 timeouts, so Phoenix had a lot of options, and I feel like they panicked. But give the Aces again. The Aces defense credit. But if you're Phoenix, there was plenty of time to either go for a quick 2 or when you don't see that play developing the way you thought it was, to call a timeout.
No doubt that's going to be scrutinized over the course of the next couple of days, Dre. For Phoenix now, going forward, you're down 1, and obviously we know the numbers. When you win Game 1 of the WNBA Finals, generally those teams go on to win. So what are 1 or 2 things that need to change for Phoenix in short time?
Yeah, well, figuring out the zone, because I do feel like the Aces are going to continue to mix that in now that they've seen that it was effective. Satou has to stay out of foul trouble. I thought Satou, it's frustrating because I thought Satou played a masterful game. She had a couple of possessions where, she knocked down that 3, then right before the end of the third quarter, she gets the transition layup with the finish. She had so much momentum. So they've got to stay out of foul trouble. They've got to make some adjustments with their offense against the zone. I mean, their offense just looked so stagnant at times when the Aces went zone, and they've got to take care of the ball. I thought Phoenix, one thing that works in Phoenix's favor is how they isolate matchups. They do a really good job of that. They isolate mismatches, but at times they can get so tunnel vision in trying to isolate the mismatch that they end up forcing it, and the Aces end up stealing it and going off and running. But Phoenix, when you think about it, this is a team that whether they shoot the ball well or they don't shoot the ball well, they're very much like this was an us issue, not what the other team did. So I would expect Phoenix to also, I've heard them say, I believe it was Phoenix, said they did what they were supposed to do and they won at home. That was in an earlier series in these playoffs. So if you're Phoenix, the Aces did what they were supposed to do. They won at home. How does Phoenix adjust? It is incredible. One of the biggest things for me for Phoenix was that Sammy Whitcomb came back in the game.
Right.
I was considerably worried when Sammy Whitcomb went down because she has had some huge moments in this playoffs, but seeing her come back into the game, if you're a Phoenix fan, you've got some hope. They still have 2 games at home, so I mean, it's a series for a reason.
Dre, we were just talking about it too in studio. Like, it just feels good to watch a great basketball game with everything else that's going on off the court. We got treated to a tremendous Game 1 of what could be a really, really exciting and electrifying WNBA Finals. Dre, really appreciate your time and insight.
Of course, appreciate y'all.
Dre Carter giving us what we need there to kind of wrap up what really was a tremendous first game and a tremendous start to this series. All right, let's dive a little bit deeper here into what we just witnessed in Las Vegas for what has been a perceived weak spot for Las Vegas all year long. It has been their bench. And we were talking about it a little bit pregame about what we needed to see from these two teams coming into this game, and one of the keys was, can Las Vegas get some production outside of their big 3? And you look at what Jewell Loyd and Dana Evans did today, combined for 43 of the team's 89 points tonight. The starting 5 had a combined 48. Just how integral, and I know Dre just talked about it a little bit, but just how integral were their contributions to this win?
In the first half, they were outpacing the starters. They're 25 points. You throw Gustafson in there, too. I mean, that was an incredible contribution. And, Jewell Loyd has been in these spots before.
Sure has.
She has the playoff experience. As we talked about it earlier, Dana Evans won a championship before. These are role players. These are players who, in those critical moments, at times they don't go deep in their bench. I mean, they played all 5 tonight, but you only got contributions, frankly, from 2 players.
Right.
That's, I think with Jewell Loyd, she was explosive and she was efficient from the very start. And it wasn't like they stopped in the second half. They kept rolling, they kept giving, on ball screens, the whole thing. And I think that, what we're seeing here, the reaction on social media right now from fans looking at Dana Evans and what she was doing in the final possessions of this game, how good she was tonight, this sets up this gives you a margin. If you're A'ja Wilson, if you're Alyssa Smith, if you're Chelsea Gray, if you're Jackie Young, you can overcome injury, you can overcome stagnant starts. Like, that offense was stuck in the mud
for
the first three quarters. So relying on your bench to get you through until the time where your stars can come alive, especially like A'ja Wilson did in that fourth quarter, that's a good spot to be in if you're Becky Hammon's team.
And so often, too, in these championship series, we always look for like an X factor or a possible, unsung hero. But like this series, it feels like, let's not overthink it. This is about also the big three on either side. For Las Vegas, a slow start, and we mentioned A'ja Wilson kind of turning it on there in the fourth quarter. What do you kind of attribute her being able to get loose and get free to in that fourth quarter?
She got the edge in her matchup with Alyssa Thomas, but I think big picture-wise, you look at the numbers here. Like the Mercury made a lot of tough shots early on in this game. The final 10 minutes here. Yeah. The Aces come alive. They contested 15 of Phoenix's 18 shot attempts, including that one with 2.4 seconds remaining. So I think so much of that has to do with A'ja Wilson and how she, Alyssa Thomas kind of fell flat there. And I mean, certainly there was what happened at the free throw line. You have to make those free throws. They had a chance to take the lead of that game. But I think it was their defense. I think Las Vegas in the fourth quarter showed you what we had been waiting to see, what kept them in it just enough, but allowed them to then flip the script. And the points off turnovers, obviously, the lack of turnovers that they had, that felt like that all kind of had came to a head in the fourth quarter.
What kept them in this game was a lot of things that have plagued them throughout the entire season this year, whether it was giving up leads in the fourth quarter or not being able to close out games, not getting enough bench production. All of that kind of was reversed here in this game one. The question will be, can they sustain it over what is now a potential 7-game series? But time now for Guarantee of the Day, presented by AT&T. Courtney, give me a guarantee for this series.
I'm going to stick with mine that we talked about 25, 30 minutes ago. I could say it was Dana Evans because she finished with 21 points coming off the bench. If Jewell Loyd continues to play this way and continues to be the spark for them off the bench, whether she comes off the bench, continues to come off the bench, I think she's going to win Finals MVP if she plays in Game 1. And you asked for a bold guarantee.
I did. No, that's a good one.
That's one that I think we're talking about a team that has A'ja Wilson, the reigning MVP, the four-time MVP, the only person who's ever done that in the WNBA. But you watch most times, it's not always the best player who's been your best player throughout the regular season who wins that award. A lot of times, it's who gives you the edge in the finals. Obviously, Finals MVP for a reason. Those contributions are something you don't look past. And A'ja, it took her a little bit to get going tonight. I mean, she was 9, 6, and 3, plus 2 steals in the first half. Obviously, she finished with an incredible stat line, one that's, put her in pretty rare company. Elena Delle Donne was one of those players back in, a couple of years ago. To be able to have that sort of production late in the game. This is, she passed Maya Moore tonight, 5th most points in playoff history. Yeah. Here's the stat I was looking for. 5th player in the WNBA Finals with a game of 20 points, 10 boards, 5 assists. So that's Alyssa Thomas, Elena Delle Donne, and Lisa Leslie.
Rarefied air.
Rarefied air. But I still think that my bold pick there, my bold prediction will be somebody coming off the bench in a contribution role that will end up being more impactful to this Aces team if they win the final.
I like that. Because also, Jewell, for those who maybe are just tuning into the WNBA Finals and you're seeing Jewell Loyd come off the bench.
Yeah, they're like, what?
What? Wait a second, what? This is the person who led the league in scoring not too long ago. She was the one that kind of maneuvered that role, or at least suggested it to her head coach. And boy, has it paid off, because her taking that kind of role player mentality, which is not something that a lot of scorers tend to like to do. She has kind of shown her unselfish side, which in turn has actually not only helped her team, but it has really helped her as well. So I like that bold prediction from you. I'm going to guarantee that this series goes at least 6 games, at least 6. Again, this is the first time in the WNBA Finals where we have a chance to see a potential Game 7. But what we saw tonight, the back and forth play with Phoenix leading for the majority of this game, it just feels like when Phoenix does return home, again, only 300 miles separate these two, so I think we might see some fans going back and forth, but I do think that Phoenix is going to win a couple. And oh, by the way, Phoenix has lost every single game one that they played in this postseason. And they've come back, they've gone 5-0 in the other couple of games.
And when you think about what happened in their last series, winning those games against the Lynx by single digits towards down the stretch, the fourth quarter was where things changed.
Right.
And this was a game that they're gonna what was Andraya talking about? Got to figure out how to play against their zone better. Like, this is something that you take game one, you say, we messed up that final possession.
Yep.
We should have called a timeout. Alyssa Thomas should have made her free throws. All of the things that went down in the final 15 seconds. And you don't let that happen again. You're the team on the other end of it in the fourth quarter, where, like you did, you showed they have proof of concept. They showed that they could do it in the semifinals. That's not going to be the case. Like, I don't think what we saw tonight will be the case for them in game 2.
100%. We talk about all the role players that have played a role, the Dana Evans, the Jewell Loyds, but it all comes down to the big three and how they played.
You are looking at Las Vegas. It's the calm before the storm on Sunday as we get ready for Game 2 of the WNBA Finals after the Las Vegas Aces held court and won Game 1 in what was an offensive explosion. Elle, Duncan, Andraya Carter, Chiney, Ogwumike. It's the first game where both sides had 87 points in a postseason that didn't go to overtime since 2007. What's your biggest takeaway from the Aces win?
The player that might be the smallest had the biggest impact.
Wait a minute, what? Say that for the short girlies?
Now, you know what? Okay, I'm talking about Dana Evans.
Oh, sorry.
About Dana Evans tying the record for threes off the bench, making 5, being that huge boost. Going into game 1 of the WNBA Finals, she was like plus 40, plus 45, and plus minus. So she was feeling good. But to do it on this stage of this magnitude, when her team needed it the most, on a night where Asia probably was a little bit slower, even though she finishes with 20, she boosted that bench in a big way.
And give credit to Jewell Loyd with 18 points as well off the bench. And you mentioned Asia kind of struggling a little bit, like still finished with 20 points, but it didn't feel like an Asia Wilson game. But Jackie Young and Chelsea Gray were 5 of 20 from the field. And Dana Evans made up for those lost points. The way that she came in and played with so much confidence, not just knocking down threes, but she had some timely steals against Alyssa Thomas because Phoenix was running that play that they always do, and Dana defended it so well.
Yeah, and I will say it was a masterful game by the Aces. Only 5 turnovers on the night. They took care of the ball, 24 assists.
You guys mentioned pregame last night that you really wanted more from the bench. It couldn't just come down to Asia and Jackie, and we saw that 41 points from the bench for the Aces. With all that being said, if you're the Mercury and you pretty much were in the lead for most of this game and you didn't see Asia go off and you still end up losing this one, how are you processing this and getting ready for game 2?
All they're telling themselves is we can't beat ourselves.
Okay.
We can't beat ourselves. Satu Sabali getting into foul trouble, Alyssa Thomas missing free throws, those things are things that you can control. So I think moving forward, they're going to be like, okay, let's not beat ourselves, let's play aggressive, let's keep making our shots and we have a chance.
They also gave up 20 points off of their own turnovers. They have to take care of the ball. That's going to be huge. That sometimes it feels like Phoenix tries to force the action a little bit. They've got to get ball movement. They also have to figure out how to go against the zone. Phoenix hasn't seen a lot of zone this season because they shoot so well from the outside, but they were 4 of 14 against the zone. The Aces going zone was big.
They got to get Ka going in the second half as well. Had 19 points before the half and ended with just 2. Went scoreless for 17 minutes in that one. There it is. You're looking at Mandalay Bay. We'll get ready for game 2 of the WNBA Finals with Vegas striking first.
Appreciate the big three in their context there. I thought they all made great points. But when you turn the page forward and you look at what Phoenix has to do to improve, the turnovers were pretty killer tonight. And it wasn't just the sheer number. They averaged 11.5 for the postseason. And I think they had 12 tonight. But it was the fact that the majority of them were live ball turnovers. And as we talked about with Dre a couple of minutes ago, led to 20 points in the other way for the Aces. How much of that is attributed to, or from what you saw, how much of that is attributed to just poor ball handling and poor decision? And how much of it can you attribute to the Aces just playing great defense?
I think it's the Aces turning the defense intensity on and what we saw. But, the small mistakes, like what Chiney was talking about, they did beat themselves there. And, let's look at Kalia Copper, for example. She came on and she had 19 points in the first half and she finished with 21. Nate Tibbetts, you can't have that happen. Those are things that you can control. And yes, they know that when they switched to zone, that affected Kalia Copper.
But you got to have an answer for that.
You have to have an answer. Yeah. And when that happened in the second half, they ended up standing around too much. Look at the final possession. I mean, those are the things that limits her shots. You can manufacture looks for a player.
Right.
Like, that is what they have to do in the second game because she was terrific. I mean, hell, you heard her in the interview with Holly Rowe going into halftime. She was locked in.
She was dialed in.
She wanted no part of that because she performed so well in the first half, but then to be so stagnant, so quiet, and for them to just like look befuddled, honestly, by the way that like the Aces were playing defense against them, you can't have that in game 2.
The chess match is something also that we just don't talk a lot about, the coaching matchups, the analysts on the sidelines that really, make a game plan and make in-game adjustments. And it just felt like the Aces made them, and Phoenix wasn't able to have an answer for what Las Vegas was putting out there. But I got to imagine in that Phoenix locker room tonight, there's this sentiment of we let this one slip away. And Satou Sabally spoke to the press post-game, and that's pretty much what she said.
We have to play better defense, just go back to what we do best, and then I think the results will show that we are the better team, but I'm really not too down on myself. Like, this game is it. We'll go back, we'll practice tomorrow, we'll walk through our mistakes and find better solutions for some things, and then we'll just come back on Sunday and win this game.
So the Mercury joined the 2002 New York Liberty as the only teams to lose 3 game ones in a single postseason. 2002 Liberty lost to the Sparks in the finals. The Mercury are 0-3 in game 1 so far this postseason. They are 5-0. It's a trend. They are 5-0 in all other games this postseason. So what she was saying right there, I think resonates with the rest of their team because this is not unfamiliar territory for them in this postseason, Court.
Yeah, but it just felt like you can't lose a game where it feels like you're about to blow it open. They were so close in the first half. And then when they started to allow Vegas to come right back in, and that switch happens, midway through the fourth quarter. Right. Game 1 and the trend, I get it. It's worked for them to get to this point. And we heard Satou Sabally talk about this pregame, and Natasha Mack. Nobody thought they'd be there. They were 27-17 this year. There was a lot that they had to overcome, a lot of injuries, a lot of just not being together as a core with their big 3. Now that you're there, though, you can't let those things happen. This is a 7-game series. It could go deep, and we hope it does. But these missed opportunities, losing the game the way that they did, losing by 3, that's, you're going to look back at that and say, we had this one. We had it in the third quarter until what they started doing with their zone defense just took us completely out of our rhythm and element. We had no answer for it.
Yeah, this feels like a if we just game. If we just didn't turn the ball over 12 times, if we just made a couple of free throws.
What is the saying? If was a fifth, we'd all be drunk, right? That's the saying. That's how they're feeling right now because there are too many ifs on this in this situation, in this scenario, to where they just didn't execute down the stretch.
No, they didn't. And we'll see what happens going forward. Injuries were a big topic, too, not only coming into this game, but really in this game. We saw it play out. Chelsea Gray with the ankle injury. We saw Sammy Whitcomb go down and come back with, I think it was, she hyperextended
her knee. You could hear her. You could see her saying it,
mouthing that, which
on the
was
broadcast.
Scary. But Alyssa Thomas, obviously all those injuries are important, but Alyssa Thomas and what she means to this team, a triple-double machine, really has slid into the primary point guard role this year for Phoenix as well. Seemed to come up with a little bit of a hand injury. I don't know. I don't know. We can speculate that it maybe played a role in her free throw shooting at the end.
Sure.
You could speculate, but if that is continuing to bother her, how big of a potential loss is that if she can't really utilize her left hand going forward?
I mean, it's huge. She is a triple-double machine. And Nate Tibbett said after the game he didn't have any evaluation on it. She kept grabbing it though. There were moments you could tell she was in pain. Now, did that cause her she shot 69% from the free throw line this year. She's 65% career free throw shooter. She needs to be better in those moments, but it probably didn't feel great. In that moment.
Injuries can be fickle, right?
But even then, she didn't look confident in her shot. You almost wonder, should she have passed it on the fast break? Maybe that was injury related, but certainly she's the star of that team. You need her healthy. There's a day in between game 1 and game 2. Whatever she has to do to get that hand right, they're going to have to do.
Alyssa Thomas finished with 15 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists. So even with the hand injury, she was 1 assist away from another triple-double. Just amazing stuff. And again, this has been a tremendous game one, and we have many, many more games to come. Again, could go 7. We'll see. If tonight was any indication, we could be in for quite a long series. That's going to do it for us tonight. Thank you so much for watching the wrap-up presented by AT&T. For Courtney, Cronin, and our entire crew, I am Sam Ravech. Make sure to come back as we will continue on with our wrap-up coverage throughout the entire WNBA Finals. Have a great night, everybody.